The Nissan GT-R R32 and the Toyota Supra mk4 are both legendary JDM cars. Back in the 90s, they were opponents, and the GT-R always dominated on the track, until the Supra mk4 entered the track. But when it came down to tuning, the 2JZ of the Toyota Supra was always better. And today I want to figure out which car is better in Forza Horizon 6. We will do that in two categories. One, we will check out the base cars, and in the second category, I will tune them, cause both are JDM cars and tuning just fit perfectly together. We will start with the stock cars. Let's look at the stats of these cars. The Toyota Supra RZ is from 1998 and got 320 horsepower out of a 3-liter twin-turbocharged inline-6 engine, called 2JZ GTE. The car got rear-wheel drive and a 6-speed transmission, and weighs around 1,500 kilograms. The Nissan Skyline GT-R R32 is from 1992 and got a 2.6-liter twin-turbocharged inline-6 called RB26DETT. What the fuck? And got 280 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. The car got all-wheel drive and a 5-speed transmission. The car weighs around 1,480 kilograms. So let us start simple with a drag race. For that we go to the quarter mile on the rocket launch station. The Supra got 40 horsepower more, but the GT-R got 30 kilograms less, all-wheel drive. It will be interesting. That means even with less horsepower, the GT-R won the drag race. Now we have seen both cars accelerating, but when do they top out? That's our next challenge. We go on the highway and see what is the top speed of these cars. The Supra is just faster. So we have Japanese cars. What is the Japanese car culture famous for? Of course, drifting. And that's the next thing we will do. The Supra got rear-wheel drive, so it got a big advantage, but the GT-R got a 70-30 split. Almost. So that means 70% of the power go to the rear wheels and just 30 to the front wheels. Usually you have like a 60-40 split. We will do 3 different drift challenges. We will do a drift zone that's pretty long and has fast corners that aren't that sharp. And then we will do the direct opposite. We will go to close corners, and last but not least, we will do this one really cool drift zone where you just drive in a circle, always up, and it's basically one long corner. For an all-wheel drive car, this car is drifting pretty well. With higher speed, it's not that hard. With higher speed, you can drift a Golf GTI, but it's still incredible. Now the Supra. The Toyota Supra can drift with an even crazier angle. And was actually able to defeat the GT-R. Now we will move on to the long circle drift thing, whatever. And the Supra isn't able to drift this thing through, even with rear-wheel drive. And the GT-R obviously isn't as well. And overall, the Supra was once again better. So let's see what's in the last drift zone. Now we have close corners. Maybe that's better for all-wheel drive, cause the all-wheel drive car doesn't lose that much speed in the corners. Actually, in these close and very sharp corners, the all-wheel drive is actually better. You're faster, you can have more speed, and in Forza it works like that. The more speed and angle you have, the more drift points you get. So the GTR was actually able to destroy the Supra here. Unexpected, but okay. That means another point for the Supra. In Forza Horizon 6 we got a new type of zones. We had drift zones and speed zones. Now we got time attack zones. In these you can drive on a track and see if your time got better or worse. And let's see which car is better on a time attack. The Supra handles surprisingly well for a 300 horsepower rear-wheel drive coupe. I expected way more drifting around. But this car just drives pretty good. The brakes could be better and the steering isn't that good. Sometimes it wants to understeer, but overall I've expected worse. I'm really surprised of the Supra. Usually you drive a Supra only tuned up to like 1000 horsepower. Nobody is using this car in its stock version, but it's actually nice. I was never a real Supra fan, but I think this car is just amazing. Now the Nissan GTR. We've already seen that the GTR can accelerate faster than the Supra, and in the corners the all-wheel drive is really helping. This car got, by the way, rear-wheel steering, so the rear wheels steer as well. So the car can steer better. The car has less understeer, and overall this car just drives clean. Like an Audi, no oversteer, no understeer, just pure performance. And after just a few laps I was already faster than the Supra. I think if you do it right you can get like half a second better on this track. But it was already enough to beat the Supra. We have two 6-cylinder cars. Let's listen to these beautiful engines. The exhaust of these cars isn't tuned. I don't know which car sounds better, but I slapped a body kit on the GTR and the legendary livery on the Toyota Supra, and I made a few beautiful shots with the camera mode of the auto drive and slapped the Forza Horizon 4 intro under it, and you can decide in the comments which one sounds and looks better. Here it is. Honestly, I've never watched Fast and Furious and I'm not a fan of Fast and Furious, but the Supra looks just insane. And the livery of the GTR and the body kit is insane too. And of course I gave credits to the persons who made this livery cause it's not mine and I think it's just fair to give credits, you know? Now let's move on to the tuning challenges. And now we will start to tune these cars. We will start with a drag race, I think. The Supra in the internet is famous for insane drag racing skills because of the 2JZ that can tune up to thousands of horsepower. Is the GTR able to keep up with the Supra? Because now with tuning, the GTR loses its advantage of the all-wheel drive. It doesn't lose this advantage, the Supra just gets this advantage as well. The Supra got 1600 horsepower and overall a drag setup with soft springs, drag tires, less weight, faster gearing. The GTR got the same, better gearing and everything. Out of its 6-cylinder, it got just over 900 horsepower and 1000 Newton meters of torque. So the GTR is weaker than the Supra, but will that make a difference? So we can see the Supra was by far faster than the GTR. Since we are now tuning the cars, it is time for a second drift challenge. The big advantage of the Supra was it got rear-wheel drive, but now we can just drivetrain swap. So the GTR can get rear-wheel drive as well. But there's a rule by tuning these cars: no engine swap. The engine need to stay the same engine. And we will do the exact same drift zones. The Toyota Supra got around 1200 horsepower and the Nissan got around 800. Both should be enough to drift well. Both got really thick drift tires on, a rollover cage, less weight. These cars should be perfect for this challenge. We'll start with the long circle, and both of these cars were able to drift these circles through, but the Supra won by a little bit, because I think the angle of the Supra is a little bit better. Now we will go back to the long drifts, and actually both of these cars drift very good in slow and high speed. I'm really impressed. I'm very bad in tuning in this game, but if there is one thing I can tune, then it is drift tunings. The GTR was better in these long corners. So now we have one last thing to do. Now we will do the last drift zone. In the small corners, both of these cars have a bit too much power, I think. Because these cars get too slow because the tires are just spinning the whole time and they can't get grip and so no speed. It was difficult, but in the end I was able to get good scores with both. And the Supra was better here. So that means the tuned drift point goes to the Supra. Now we need a sprint race. And I don't want to do that with stock cars, I want to do that with tuned cars. So I slapped on an S1 tuning for both. I made them myself. I tried to keep the Supra with its Fast and Furious look, and the GTR still got its body kit. But I gave one rule more to myself. I was forced to use the Horizon semi-slicks, so they have both the same tires. The GTR now got over 500 horsepower, all-wheel drive like before, a body kit, much aerodynamic parts. It got lighter, got better brakes, better suspension. Overall, this car is better in the corners than on the straights. The Supra got a bit more horsepower with around 700, and the Supra stayed with rear-wheel drive, cause there was no reason to use all-wheel drive. But for that it got thicker rear tires, but I needed to add like a front spoiler to get more downforce, cause if not the car would just understeer like hell. But I tried to keep the Fast and Furious look. Now let's see which one is actually better on the track. The GTR will start. The GTR honestly isn't that slow in the straights. I mean 500 horsepower isn't bad, but with the relatively low weight, this car is actually fast. In the corners, the GTR can show its full potential. That's the time of the GTR. Let's see if the Supra can beat this time. The Supra is especially fast in the straights. The corners are okay, but the car kind of doesn't want to steer. It doesn't understeer or oversteer. It just doesn't want to steer. On the straights you can feel the more power, but in the corners the Supra is missing really much time. And I really wasn't sure which car is actually faster. The time of the Supra is actually slower than the time of the GTR, so the GTR has won this challenge. So now we have one more challenge to do. We will drive the Goliath. Yes, I know it sounds crazy that the Goliath in Forza Horizon 6 is over 80 kilometers long, but I did it in Forza Horizon 5 and I want to do that in Forza Horizon 6 as well. And it's my time I will waste. And for that, I gave both of these cars their full potential. The Supra got 1600 horsepower like in the drag race, but this time with slick tires, a body kit for better downforce, and I think this car can handle its 1600 horsepower pretty well. The GTR on the other hand got just 1000 horsepower like in the drag race, got once again its body kit, spoiler and everything, and yes, this spoiler gives this car the maximum downforce. Don't ask me how, it looks legit like the standard one. But now let's see which car is actually better on the track. And with that time, the Supra has won the last challenge. Through more power. This car got 600 horsepower more than the GTR. That's like slapping on a Huracan on the GTR and then you get the same power. But for that insane power difference, just 14 seconds is insane. Overall, the GTR was way better in the corners, but since the Goliath is a very long race with long straights, the Supra was able to win that. So the last point goes to the Toyota Supra. So the Supra has won this whole challenge. But why? Easy. The Supra is just more powerful. In the stock version, it got 40 horsepower more, and when you tune these cars up to the maximum, it got 600 horsepower more. So in all the power challenges like drag racing, drifting, top speed, the GTR just couldn't keep up cause of not enough power. In the corners though, the GTR is much better than the Supra. Overall, both of these cars are insane, and in the standard version, the GTR is probably better, and it deserves its name Godzilla. The Supra is a tuning legend. I don't think there's any other car that can tune up to such high horsepower. Both of these cars are insane. In the end, the Supra was better, and I personally prefer a rotary engine RX-7. I just love this thing. The next video comes out next week, Wednesday. If you have any other feedback, put it in the comments, and goodbye!